All right. So we'll be looking at transport system, and we know that in the cell there is a barrier around the cell for eukaryotic cells. Now look up. If this is your cell, let's say this is the nucleus. Let's say this is your mitochondria. Let's say these are your endoplasmic reticulums and the rest. Now you agree with me that there is a membrane surrounding the cell, right? That membrane is called what? The plasma membrane, is it not? If you don't call it the plasma membrane, you call it what? The cell membrane, right? Now this membrane here is what is regulating what is coming in or going out of the cell. True or false?
True.
It's the cell membrane that is regulating what is going in and what is coming out. So there is always transport in or out of the cell. Now that's what we want to look at, the transport systems or the transport processes across the cell membrane. Now there are two types of transport that can take place across the cell membrane, whether we are transporting materials in or we are transporting materials out of the cell. The two types of transport that can take place in the cell are what and what? Passive transport and what? Active transport. Those are the two types of transport that can take place. Passive transport and active transport. Now, when they say something is passive, it means energy is not required, right? Is it not? If they say you are a passive member of a team, it means you're not bringing out the energy in you, is it not? It means you're partly here, partly there. Passive transport does not require the expenditure of energy. So it's the transport of material without using energy. Let's take for example, if you have something like this. I have 5,000. Sorry, you have 5,000. Let me put the 5,000 here for you. And me, I have 3,000. Naturally, who is supposed to give to who? You are supposed to give to me, right? You are supposed to give to me. So if money is moving from here to this side, do I need gun or machete? I'm talking about naturally now, forget about your stinginess. Do I need gun or machete to move money from here to here? No, right? Naturally, you want to give to somebody that have lesser than you, is it not?
Yeah.
But if me, I have 3,000, you have 5,000, and you're coming to get money from me, yes, it's possible to get money from me, but it's either with machete or with gun, is it not? You must use energy to get the energy, to get the money, is it not? Because you're moving from where the money is low to where the money is big. It's not supposed to move that way. Now, if we are moving money from here, where there is 5,000, to here, where we have 3,000, are we moving with concentration gradient or against concentration gradient? We are moving with concentration gradient, right? Because that is how it's supposed to move, from high concentration to low concentration. So do we need energy? We don't need energy. Now in passive transport, molecules are moving from high concentration to region of low concentration, and so energy is not required because we are moving with concentration gradients. Do we understand that? Do we understand? But if we are moving from here to here, low concentration to high concentration, are we moving with concentration gradient or against concentration gradient? Against concentration gradient, right? And so energy is required, is it not?
Yes.
So this type of transport where energy is not needed is called what? Passive transport. While the type of transport that requires expenditure of energy is called what? Active transport. So those are the two types of transport we can have in the system. And it depends on the concentration gradient. If we are moving from high concentration to low concentration, do we need energy? No, right? So we call that what? Passive transport. If we are moving from low to high, just like you're climbing hill, you're moving against concentration gradients. So do we require energy? Yes, active transport. Now, we've understood the meaning of passive transport and active transport. But passive transport has its types. active transport still have types. So let's look at the types of passive transport. There's no way you not see this in an exam. Let me just say that. Now, the types of passive transport: number one, simple diffusion; number two, facilitated diffusion; and number three, osmosis. Now, let's start with simple diffusion. We already know that passive transport, we are moving from high concentration to low concentration, right? Now, simple diffusion, if you spray your pep, think here that I'm spraying it is a high concentration, right? It will now spread across. So where there is low concentration until it is evenly distributed. That process of movement of molecules from region of high concentration to region of low concentration is called simple diffusion. Take for example, if you have 3 molecules of sodium here, 4 molecules of sodium ion here. Sorry, let's use carbon dioxide. I have 4 molecules here and I have 2 molecules here, carbon dioxide. If I'm moving some carbon dioxide into the cell, is that with concentration gradient or against concentration gradient?
With concentration.
With concentration gradient, right? Because I'm moving from high concentration to low concentration. Will energy be required? This simple movement of molecules from high concentration to low concentration is what we call simple diffusion. Listen up so that you know the difference when it comes to facilitated and simple diffusion. Now, coming to facilitated diffusion now, this cell membrane, I'm just using line to draw, looks like this. In reality, this is how it looks like. So in reality, it looks like something like this. Now, this is the lipid bilayer, right?
Yes.
Lipid bilayer. And we have 2 types of proteins in the cell membrane. We have the transmembrane protein, or you call it integral protein. And we have the peripheral. Now the transmembrane protein transverse the 2 layers. The peripheral is just hanging on one side. Now there are some proteins called transmembrane proteins that are involved in transporting materials across the cell membrane. Now we can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and we have 1, 2 here. This outside the cell, this inside the cell. Where do we have high concentration? Outside, right? So naturally it's supposed to move from here to here, right? Without energy. But there are some molecules, though they are high on the outside, they cannot just move into the cell. They need a transporter. They need something to transport them into the cell. Remember, energy is not utilized, but it's just that they cannot pass through the membrane on their own. In simple diffusion, they can pass through on their own, right?
Yes.
But in facilitated diffusion is movement of molecules from high concentration to low concentration through a transport protein. Through a transmembrane protein. Is that you call it transmembrane protein, transport protein, integral protein, carrier protein, any of such. So movement of this molecule from high concentration to low concentration through a transport protein. Let me ask you a question. Among simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion, which one do you think will be faster? Facilitated diffusion, right? Facilitated, aided, something is helping it to move, and somebody that is struggling to train himself, somebody that they are pumping money. See that facilitated diffusion is faster than simple diffusion. So do we know the difference between simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion now? Among the 2 of them, which one is using energy? No one, right? Energy is not utilized. Remember, it's under passive transport. But the fact is that this one, transport of small molecules like CO2, like oxygen, like lipid. Biomolecules, these small molecular weights, are transported through simple diffusion. Facilitated diffusion, they are used to transport higher molecular weight molecules. Those ones that cannot pass on their own from high to low. Example, we have what? Amino acid. What else? What else? We have proteins. Any question on simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion? Okay, the next thing is osmosis. Now, in secondary school, we're given two definitions of osmosis, or you confuse the meaning of osmosis. Now, there are two definitions of osmosis, and they are both correct. Now, let's look at these two cases. Now, this is A, this is B. I have 5 cubes of sugar here, and I have 3 cubes of sugar here. And I add 1 liter of water here, and I add 1 liter of water here. Which one will be more concentrated, A or B?
A.
5 cubes of sugar, 1 liter of water, 3 cubes of sugar, 1 liter of water. You say which one will be more concentrated?
A.
Right? Now, the purpose of osmosis is to make the two concentrations equal. The concentration on both sides is to make it equal. And you, physically looking at it, there are 2 ways you can make the concentration equal. Just assume the sugar cannot dissolve, and you want to make the concentration here and here equal. What do? You take 1 cube of sugar from here and add here, right?
Yes.
Is it not?
Yes.
If you pick 1 cube of sugar from here and add here, we'll now be having 4 on both sides, right? Yes. So the concentration will not be equal. Yes. What did we do? Is the sugar the solute or solvent?
Solute.
Solute, right?
Yes.
Were we moving it from high concentration to low concentration, or from low to high?
From high to low.
From high to low, right?
Yes.
So we can define osmosis in one way as the movement of solutes from region of high concentration to region of low concentration through a semi-permeable membrane until equilibrium is established. Or another way you can make the concentration equal. Now, if I'm adding water here, am I increasing the concentration or I'm reducing the concentration?
You're reducing.
If I'm adding water here, what am I doing? I'm reducing the concentration, right? I'm diluting it. If I'm removing water here, am I making it concentrated or diluted? Concentrated, right? Good. So I can also define osmosis as the movement of water molecules from region of lower solute concentration. We have low solute here now. Yes. To region of higher solute concentration. I've defined osmosis in 2 ways now. The first one, I said movement of solutes from region of high concentration to region of low concentration through a semi-permeable membrane until equilibrium is established. I define osmosis again as the movement of water molecules from the region of lower solute concentration, here we have 3, to a region of higher solute concentration through a semi-permeable membrane until equilibrium is established. The idea there is that as you are removing water from here, it's becoming concentrated. As you are adding the water here, you're diluting it until concentration on both sides becomes equal. Do we understand that? So that's osmosis. We've seen simple diffusion as the movement of gas molecules from high concentration to low concentration. We've seen facilitated diffusion as movement of molecules from high concentration to low concentration with the help of what? A transport protein, right? Now we've seen osmosis as movement of water molecules from region of lower solute concentration to region of higher solute concentration, or the movement of solute itself from region of high concentration to region of low concentration. One thing you must notice, in all these things, we are not utilizing energy. So if you are asked to write on the 3 types of passive transport, number 1, what will you say? Symport, diffusion. Number 2,
Facilitated.
And number 3, osmosis. So that's that for passive transport. Energy is not utilized. But now, the second type of transport, active transport. When they say you're active, it means you're putting in energy, is it not?
Yes.
Now, active transport, we are moving molecules from region of low concentration to region of high concentration, right? Is it not?
Yes.
We are moving from low to high. And it's just like you're pushing something, because you're moving from low to high concentration. When you're climbing, if you're climbing these stairs, when you're coming up, And when you are going down, which one do you require more energy? Which one do you require energy?
Coming up.
When you are coming up, right? Because you are going against concentration gradient. You are going, it's an uphill movement. If you are going down the concentration gradient from high to low. Energy is not required. But from low to up, from downstairs up here, you're climbing up, you actually must add energy. Is it not?
Yes.
And if you are going down and you don't want to add energy, you can just sit on that thing used to work, right? And slide down. But if you want to come up, sit on that thing and slide up. Let's see. You must add energy, is it not? Now, active transport. We are moving from low concentration to high concentration. And we said energy is required, right?
Yeah.
Energy is required. Now, I would like you to pay great attention here. It's not supposed to be so. Now look at this person having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,000. And this person having, in fact, 1,000. Then now, you're not telling me that somebody that have 1,000 should not give to somebody that have 8,000. Naturally, it's with gun or with machete. Because this thing won't come out. But if it's moving from here, no energy is required. It can freely give. So active transport from low concentration to high concentration and energy is required. So depending on where you get the energy from, to move this molecule from low to high, we can have two types of active transport, depending on the type of energy, where you are getting the energy from. Is it from gun or from machete? Now, the two types of active transport we can have is primary active transport and what? Secondary active transport. What's the energy currency of the cell? ATP, right?
Yeah.
What is the formula of ATP? Adenosine triphosphate. Good. Now, if the energy we are using to transport this molecule from low concentration to high concentration is directly from ATP, we are breaking down ATP directly to get our energy to transport this molecule from low concentration to high concentration. That type of active transport is called what? Primary active transport. So note that primary active transport, we are using, our source of energy is directly what? ATP. So we are using ATP directly to transport this molecule from low concentration to high concentration. Do you understand that?
Yes.
But secondary active transport, we are not using ATP directly. And there is another name we call secondary active transport. What is that? Co-transport. Co-transport. What is co-transport? Now, in those days, when you were in children's church, and they're having children's day, used to call Vera and Co to come and sing. How many persons used to come out? Vera and the friend, right? Two of them will now come out and come and sing. So when they say co-transport, it means you're transporting two molecules, right? Good. Now, if we have this cell membrane here, we have this membrane here, and I have something like this. This thing, please everybody look up. This thing here, is this active transport or passive transport?
Passive.
Passive. How do you say this in this passive transport? Look at it very well. Look at the head of the arrow. Is this passive transport or active transport? Passive. Some of you are saying C. Let's see. I'm not hearing either it's act or passive. Alright, so this is what? Passive, right? Why? Moving from high to low. So since it's moving from high to low, energy is not required, right? Yes. Good. Instead, sometimes energy is even generated as you're moving from high to low. Now look at the second case here. Is this one? This is A, this is B. Is this one active or passive? Passive. Active, right? Because we're moving from low to high, is it not? This one is passive. And sometimes energy is generated, is it not? Energy is generated, energy is not used here. Now, if this one, for it to move from here to here, remember energy is utilized, right? Energy is needed. If the movement of this one from here to here produces energy that this one utilized to transport this one to here, that type of transport is called what? Co-transport. Let me take that again. In co-transport, we are not utilizing ATP directly. Instead, we are using energy from the transport of another molecule. Are we following?
Yes.
If I transport this one to this side, I don't need energy. Instead, I generate energy. The energy I generate now is now used to drive this one against concentration gradient. That type of transport is called what? Co-transport. It means without this one cannot be transported. Is it not? Without this one cannot be transported. Something like that is seen in the sodium, potassium, ATPs. Sodium and potassium, they are transported like that. But now look at this. Secondary active transport can be of two types. Secondary active transport can be of two types. Now look at this. They are transported to the same direction, right?
Yes.
If the two molecules are being transported in the same direction, we call that what? Symport. But if they are transported in opposite direction, one is going this way, one is going this way, we call that what?
Antiport.
Antiport. Please, this is not the classes of transport. We have classes of transport which I will talk about. But the two types of secondary active transport are symport and what? And antiport. Symport and antiport. So basically what I've said so far is active transport requires energy because we are moving uphill against concentration gradients. If the energy is gotten directly from ATP, what type of transport is that? Primary active transport, right? But if the energy is gotten from the transport of another molecule, we call that what? Co-transport, right? Or secondary active transport. Do you understand? Alright, so let's look at the classes of transport. Now, the classes of transport is very different from the types of transport. The types of transport are active transport and what? Passive transport, right? Now, the classes of transport, we have three classes of transport, which are uniport, symport, and what? Antiport. Now, uni means what?
One direction.
Please, the uni here is not university.
Yes.
The uni here means what? One. Now, uniport. If this is a membrane, if you are transporting a single molecule across the membrane, we call that what? Uniport. You are transporting a single molecule across the membrane, either into the cell or out of the cell. We call that what? Uniport. So uniport is a lone ranger, one molecule moving in or out of the cell. That is uniport. Do we get that? Then the second one, symport. Symport is a form of co-transport, right?
Yes.
And here we have two molecules moving in the same direction. So it's either both of them they are moving into the cell, or both of them are moving what? Out of the cell. So if the two molecules are moving in the same direction, we call that what? Symport. So this one that we have only one, this is uniport. If we have two molecules moving in the same direction, we call that symport. And if we have two molecules moving in opposite direction, that is, one is moving into the cell and one is moving out of the cell in opposite direction, we call that what?
Antiport.
Antiport. So these are the three classes of transport. If you are asked to illustrate with diagram, this thing you can illustrate it with this. So we'll look at specific example. Uniport, one direction, one molecule. Symport, two molecules, the same direction. Antiport, opposite direction.